Sure.
Okay. So we have had,
By the way, I love it when you set it up that way.
Oh, do you? Okay, good.
I have a question.
I mean, I need you to be prepared,
Okay.
and you're always prepared. So, I know we have discussed.
You will.
I know we have discussed in separate conversations, just a worrying heart and a worrying mind. And I, like most people, tend to overthink things. I'm bold enough to admit that. And I tend to worry about things that most people probably don't even bat an eye at. So my question to you is, I have spent time in prayer. I have brought my worries and my frustrations and my concerns to Jesus, and I've asked him to, I've asked him to take it off of my mind and off of my heart, and that's easier said than done. Because even after I pray that, I still replay it in my mind and I still worry about it. So I don't want to say that I'm not truly giving it to God, because I feel like I am, but it's just my nature for it to always be playing in the back of my mind. So help me, give me some advice. And for those out there that are like me and tend to worry about things and think about it for long periods of time, when you really should just let go and let God.
Yeah. Well, I think a couple of things. One, we know the scriptures teach us that we are not to be anxious. Be anxious for nothing, but in all things with prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, make your petitions known to God. I think when we do that, what we're truly doing is we're saying, not, God, I have no worries. We're bringing our worries to Him, our anxiety to Him, saying, I'm letting go of this. God, give me direction.
Yes.
I know you're going to protect me in this. I know you're going to show me the plan that you have for me. But also in Thanksgiving, part of that, I believe, is also saying, thank you, God, for whatever it is you're about to take me through. I want it to be good. I want it to be a happy experience. But God, whatever it is, I know that it's for your glory and for my learning.
Yep.
And so it's for my good. And so, God, thank you for that. I think when we truly give it over to Him, the anxiety should ease up. And let me give you an example. If someone came to you and said, hey, Amber, can you take care of this problem for me? And you said yes. And then they called you 10 minutes later and said, have you taken care of that? And then they called you back 10 minutes later, and then they send you a text, and they said, I'm still concerned that you're not going to get this done. Is that really them asking you to do it, or is that them not trusting you?
Yeah, the latter.
What we tend to do is we say, well, I've given it to God. I've let go of it. But you said, I'm still thinking through it. I'm still trying to figure out what the solution is. And don't get me wrong, I think we still need to work through it. But you carried it to a place where you said, I'm thinking about all of the possibilities. I'm thinking about what could happen. And so what we're really doing is we're saying, I'm giving it over to God, when in reality what we're doing is we're saying, God, take away the part that's bothering me.
Yeah.
But I can still try to figure it out.
Yeah, and that's...
So we're really not giving it over to Him.
You're right. Yeah.
We need to ask God for wisdom, and when we ask Him for wisdom, then He gives us understanding. Part of understanding means we're applying that in our situation. So sometimes God doesn't write it in the sky and give us an obvious answer.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to work through it.
Yeah.
And we just have to take the next step. But as we do that, when we're truly giving it over to God, what we're saying is God is going to give me that next step. So I trust Him. So I'm still going to look at the options. I'm still going to do what God has taught me to do and skilled me to do. But as I do that, I'm trusting God. He's going to give me the next step.
Absolutely.
It's going to be okay.
And as I was praying through my situation last night, I just came to the realization that what I'm worrying about is so small, so minuscule to what Jesus did for me on the cross. You know what I mean? So the fact that I internalize it and keep it for myself and not give it over to Him when He's already accomplished this incredible thing for all of humanity, I kind of had a moment where I was like, this is so silly. What are you doing? I mean, He knows the direction. He knows the way. He knows what's going to ultimately happen. And why am I internalizing it? But a lot of people do that. So
it makes it okay.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No.
We try to normalize this whole thing.
Yeah.
And what we're missing in that is simply saying God knows what He's doing.
Yeah.
He knows what He's doing. And we're worried, you said the small things. That's the truth. We're worried about the small things because what is the worst thing that can happen? And I've asked people that question. I've asked you that question. What is the worst thing that can happen in this situation?
Yeah.
I get to eat. I have a place to live. I have a place to worship. I have a family. I have a job. I have everything that's needed in order to operate and still glorify God with everything that I have.
Yeah.
So what's the worst thing that I'm looking at as the option here?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we make something that may really be a small issue into a big issue. There are people who are struggling to eat. I mean, there are people who are struggling to have a place over their head tonight. And so I'm not saying that it's not real to us in that moment, just because our issues don't seem as big or as urgent. They do seem real to us.
Yeah.
We've been conditioned to a point where something small in our life seems big in our life.
Right.
But the answer's still the same. We have to give it to God. We have to trust Him. We have to give Him thanks for whatever He's about to take us through, whatever He's about to allow us to experience. We know it's going to glorify Him, like I said, and it's going to be for our benefit. And so giving it over to Him is much more than just simply saying, God, I trust You. Honestly, I do. Now let me go figure this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about truly giving it to Him.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
you're
letting
right.
Him work you through it.
Well, what are we looking at for this week? We're in the book of James.
I have totally forgotten during our conversation.
No, you did not.
This week, one of the things that we're going to be focusing on is this idea of us having passion or being passionate about things of this world.
Okay. What do you mean?
What that can do to our relationship with God. Getting caught up in the things that are worldly instead of being focused on God. When our faith is questioned, when we start to get to a point where we're more focused on what this world provides to us, then it causes us to not be separated from God in the sense of losing salvation, but what it'll do is it'll prevent us from having the relationship that God desired for us to have with Him. It's hard for Him to use us when we're focused on the things of this world.
Right.
And we see this so much in the church. We see so many people that church becomes an afterthought. And when I say that, I'm talking about the things of God, not necessarily an assembly meeting, a specific time that we meet. But in general, they'll get to a point where God's just an afterthought, unless I need Him for something. And so we need to pursue the things of God. We need to be passionate about the things of God. And when we do that, our prayer life, our study time, everything that we do will grow stronger.
Yeah.
And it'll benefit us. And so we're going to talk about that this week, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be great. Our service times this Sunday are 8:30 and 10:45. We're diving deeper into the book of James. This is going to be a really good conversation. I love that we're doing this around football season, so because everybody's crazy about football. But no, it's a super important topic because we let these earthly things distract us, like football or cell phones or whatever it may